Valves, where all the air goes into a raft, and if you've had a good day, where all the air comes back out of a raft. So, this valve is currently open. I hope you can see in the video there that the spring is quite far into the valve. If I push it down and turn it clockwise, it springs out. This closes it off. It means that we can pump air into the raft and it's not going to come squirting back out at us. When you're inflating a raft, I prefer to have these closed, so with the spring in the poking out position. Some other people prefer to have the valve fully open to start with because it does make pumping slightly easier at the start. I personally prefer the peace of mind of closing it off first, and so I don't lose any progress when pumping. Okay, so now we're going to pump. The whole raft didn't inflate. That's because it's divided into 4 pontoons. One on each side and one at each end. Between these pontoons are baffles dividing the 4 pontoons from each other. These baffles are not quite as strong as the outer skin of the raft and can't take up full pressure. So when pumping up a raft, you pump up each of the 4 pontoons 2/3 of the way, halfway, and then pressurize them all at the end. So I'm now going to half pump all of these and then take it to full pressure. While filling, I found this rather nasty hole. I'm glad I discovered it in my backyard and not next to a river. So as soon as we're allowed to move around again, if someone would like to come around and do a patching video, this is a great opportunity. Bow lines. They're how we tie up rafts, which you can sometimes need to do in a hurry, which means you need to be able to access them real fast. To get a bow line off, you just grab this end here and give a couple of yanks and you've got the rope in your hand. A nice beautiful coil. To tie one up, make nice, even coils of rope, all the same length. There we go. Very important, first step, tuck under the OS line, and then it comes back down through the other bit, and then you pull that to tighten it. As a guide, you're going to paddle very differently to a paddler. But to describe this a bit better, I'm going to grab a model. We've got a center line here to mark the center of mass. A thing is going to rotate around its center of mass, and since I'm just going to be pushing this in one direction, that line's going to do well enough. So, a paddler is going to be paddling not in the center of mass, which is annoying because that would make us go nice and forwards very easily. You're actually paddling to one side, which, as you can see, turns the raft around. That's why it's so important that you have paddlers on each side who paddle in time. This gets us going forward really smoothly. If you're paddling out of time, there's a lot of energy wasted sending the raft side to side. That's no good at all. As a guide though, you actually are going to be aiming the raft, and that essentially means twisting the raft deliberately and then holding it in a particular direction. And so I'm going to go through how you do that now. So, as a paddler, you're pushing the raft forward and you're pushing the raft back. But you're trying to not turn it very much. That's the job for your guide. So, because I'm sitting higher up out of the water, I've grabbed myself a longer paddle. As a guide, your job is to turn the raft and not to push it forward or push it back. Any paddle stroke in line with the raft is going to be applying forwards or back power. But we want to be applying just sideways power. So that means we want to rotate all our paddle strokes 90 degrees to the raft and paddle in this area here. So you can see if I was paddling like this with the sweep stroke, not only is it a really weak stroke, but most of the power is actually pushing the raft forward. It's not really what you want as a guide. You just want to be able to turn the raft. So with a paddle stroke like this, all of the paddle power is applied to turning the raft in this direction. Or of course, a back paddle is pushing the raft in this direction. If you're a little bit smaller than me, it can help to lean out a bit and use your hips, and this gives you more leverage because you're paddling further away from the center of mass.